Welcome, another episode of Coach's Corner. Today we have Daniel Diamond Hands Amesbury with us. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. I know you're a busy man these days. Want to kind of get right into it a little bit today and, talk about you and, obviously, you're not playing right now with the hat tricks, but you've had some stuff going on. Just back from Yeti. How was that for you?
Denver, it was good. Not Denver, sorry, Vail Yeti, but flew into Denver and then
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was fun. Obviously I'm suspended right now for 18 games, so I had a little time off, and not time off, I'm practicing still, but on the weekends I'm not playing. So I ended up going out playing some senior hockey in Vail for the Yeti and played 2 games with them Friday, Saturday night, and got to see Vail, which is super, super nice town. It's actually my second time playing in Vail. I played in Vail about 10 years ago when I played in the Central League. So.
How was the competition out there?
It was good. Our first line, our team was all D1 guys, so a lot of D1 guys. It was really good skilled players. A little less structured hockey just because obviously you're not skating with the same guys every day like we are, so it's a little bit less systems and a little bit more kind of floating around. So it kind of is harder for me because in that kind of hockey, you kind of almost got to have a little more skill to kind of you got to be able to do a lot yourself in that kind of hockey. So it was hard. It was hard hockey because the players are good.
The level was different.
It's totally different. But like I said, I find it easier to play at where I'm at only just based on structure in Danbury, just because we're skating together every day. But the players out there are phenomenal. It was good hockey.
How did you feel getting back out there? And obviously you are skating now, but the level being different, was there a little bit of for you to get adjusted the first day out there?
Well, the biggest issue is the elevation. It was 8,000 feet. Friday night we played in Vail. It was 8,000 feet. So I was told you lose 5% of oxygen per 1,000 feet. So you're pushing around 50% oxygen. So it was Friday night was tough.
You were sucking air that
Saturday night was even harder. We went to Breckenridge to play a game in Breck, and they're 10,000 feet. So they're 2,000 feet higher. And it was, that was the hardest part the whole time. And it's, hard to think and hard to, you're exhausted the whole time. So it was just quick shifts. And I was playing D, thankfully, so I didn't have to skate a ton. But it was fun. I had a good time. It was tough hockey too.
Good. So, obviously you're here in Danbury. You train with us at Champs, obviously in the boxing level. Tell us a little bit about how did you end up in Danbury?
It was crazy. Just obviously I got in the King of the Ring tournament that AJ put on in Edmonton, and that was a hockey fighting tournament. Last man standing, best of 8. It was one night, and basically, I met AJ when I signed up for that, and he ended up picking me and choosing me for the heavyweight tournament. And then, pretty much I won the whole tournament, and then, kept talking, stayed in touch with AJ, and then I ended up winning it again. And then after I won it the second time, me and AJ were talking, and Danbury was looking for some toughness, and AJ's like, hey, why don't you come play in Danbury? And, obviously we'll, let's get some other stuff going and have some other plans, and we'll build some stuff. And it sounded crazy at first, and I kind of jokingly considered it, at first. And then, as time went on, I started really crunching the numbers and thinking about it and really figuring out if it was something that I could pull off. And obviously I have a family and stuff, so it's not just up to me, but we ended up making the move and coming across country, and it was a 48-hour drive to get here from Vancouver.
Yeah.
So long journey, but we're here now, and we're here full time, so it's great.
Were you playing at the time?
Not a ton, I was playing, I think my first full contact season since I retired in 2014 was right before I went to Ice War, right before I went to the King of the Ring tournament. So it was I played 8 games.
We'll kind of go in order here with you, right? King of the Ring. AJ Galante puts this on, and for those of you who don't know about it, it's fighting on ice, hockey players fighting on ice. How you get the call for this, or you see this and you say, hey, I want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that like I've told the story before, and like me and my friends kind of just always used to joke about it. Like my buddies would always be like, man, it's, it's too bad there's no just hockey fighting sport. You'd be good at that. And we'd always joke about it. Like since high school, we'd joke about it because it was just always something I had. It was like a niche skill that I had, and I loved it. It was always fun, but it was like, how many times can you fight? In hockey, like you got to play a game. You're not just like out there to fight. So we'd always joke about it. And then AJ announced something that he was thinking about doing it, and then my buddy sent me it. It was just like an Instagram reel or whatever, and he forwarded it to me, and I seen it, and I was immediately messaged AJ. I was like, hey, this is who I am. Started sending him videos. I said, I want to fight. Like, I don't care who or what size, the guys are, just get me in. And that was kind of how it started.
So you get accepted into this. What's your preparation for the first event? And the first event was, what was it, Edmonton or Winnipeg?
It was in Edmonton, yeah.
Okay.
Edmonton, yeah. Preparation was crazy. I was doing 2-3 days every day, pretty much. Like, I was usually doing like a heavy lift first thing in the morning, like, strength and conditioning kind of lift. Depending, like, as I got closer, obviously my weight was coming down and I was a little more explosive and stuff. But yeah, essentially I would do a lift in the morning, sprints at some point, and then I would skate. So I'd do my lift in the morning, and then I would skate around like noon. I would do like and all my cardio was on the ice. So I was just doing down and backs, and that was it. That was pretty much all the skating I was really doing, was just cardio. And then later that night, I would drive, like I had like an hour drive to go train with my buddy Caleb Starnes, who fought in the UFC, and I was doing like Greco-Roman wrestling with him and just boxing.
How much time did you have to prepare for the first event?
I mean, as soon as I talked to AJ, I started training, but like really, like camp wise, I'd say like 8 weeks, like 8 weeks hard, fully committed.
So you come into the first event. How many fights did you fight? You run the table.
I fought 3 fights. So the first fight went into like an overtime round, and then I ended up winning that. And then the next 2 I finished. I got TKOs.
Did you? Obviously, look, you've fought throughout your career, you know what it's like to fight on the ice. But what was your expectation here under just straight out fighting, just coming out and, what was your mindset? Did you come out with the set? Did you come out with the set to run the table?
There's no way I was losing. There's no possible, like it wasn't even a thought in my mind. Like it already mapped it all out in my head, and it was just like a done deal. So it was weird because that was like the first time in my life, and it was obviously the biggest, like it wasn't just one fight. I was going into 3 fights or potentially 3 fights, but like in my head it was like 3 fights. I was going to win this whole thing, and I actually like, it was weird because I've never been one to be like, oh, I don't get scared. Like obviously I guess everybody feels emotions. It's normal human reaction.
That anxiety hits you.
Yeah, it's normal, right? But like I for real before this tournament was like zen. Like I really didn't feel a ton of emotions. Like I felt like nervous before fights. I know that feeling. There's something different about this tournament. I just came in and I had so much faith in myself and my training and my camp, and just like I felt like there's no way I'm losing this, and I just went in there and I just did what I did, and it was a very, very strange experience for just how it went and how it felt throughout, and all the stuff in my preparation beforehand. I was literally doing like preparing myself mentally and doing like a lot of like meditation, mental preparation, and some of the stuff we were doing was like going through every round of the fight and feeling the emotions it would feel to win each round.
Right.
And the weirdest thing for me, and this is something that changed my life, was that literally as it happened, every round, I was like, oh my God, this is the exact feeling
That's what the plan was.
Oh my God. And then it happened again the next round, and I'm like, okay, this is weird, because when I was trying to feel those emotions, let's say when I was doing my meditations and stuff, like I actually felt the exact same. So it was like a weird moment for me to go through that. And then I think it just gave me steam into like everything else that's going on, because I realized like what belief and what faith does, and
preparation, in yourself.
Yeah.
So now you win that. This is where does Diamond's Hands, is the phrase coined there, or was that before?
It was before. Yeah, it was like right before though, but it wasn't like an old nickname or anything like that. But
so
yeah,
it was
that was my
something
nickname
that's been
going
with
in.
you.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. Yeah.
Right.
There's a couple different reasons, but yeah.
Right. So now you run the table with that, and they run it back. You won the second one also.
Yeah, the second one was just like a super fight. Like it was just like we were the main event. It was just
You were the
one
main
fight.
event. So you defended your title.
Yeah.
So now that's over and done. And obviously here you are in Danbury.
Yeah.
Thanks to AJ Galante and the Danbury hat tricks for making it happen.
Yeah.
But, let's kind of talk about your background also besides hockey. And you do have that fight background. Once you left and came into Danbury, did you envision, now you're training also, you've had 3 rough and rowdy fights. Was that in the back of your mind? Were you looking to take your fighting off the rink into something else? Or is it something that just happened and it was the right thing?
The boxing was something that I started to really like when I was training for my King of the Ring tournament. I was boxing, but I was boxing specifically for what I was doing. So a lot of my stuff that I was working on was really just honestly a lot of like punching power and like core rotation stuff.
Right.
So I was basically just working on making my punches as hard as I could. But it was fun. Like I really enjoyed it. I'm like, man, like I could see the progression. I could feel the progression. I liked boxing and I was looking forward to finishing the King of the Ring tournament so I could actually just work on boxing rather than specifically for what I was doing.
And I think that was the idea when you came here, when you started working. It was, other things had happened at that time. But you've also, with your boxing before coming here and being part of Champs Boxing, you've worked with good coaches.
Yeah.
You've had good coaching in boxing before. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like I started training a little bit more back home in like my hometown or whatever, like in my, the area of Vancouver. I was training with Caleb Starn, so he fought in the UFC. He was a good look for like how it is, like every coach has different styles, different looks, right? So it's kind of it's nice when you get to see different things and train with different coaches and learn different like styles essentially. So he was like a very more MMA boxing style, like a little bit longer in and out. Kind of boxer. And then I trained with Rob Della Penna, who's a good friend of mine. He fought pro all over the world for, I don't know how many, maybe 20 something fights or something like that. But he fought some big names and stuff. I think he fought Gotti's brother. I don't know, one of the Gotti's brothers or something like that. He fought and stuff like that. So he was fun too. I started training with him at his gym. His gym's called Savard Boxing Club. He has his own gym and he fights a very in your face, like almost like the Mexican kind of style of boxing, like just right in your chest, right in the pocket, pressure,
right.
which was fun too. So I got to train with him a lot too. And then he actually hooked me up with Ken Lusta, who Ken Lusta was in my corner for both my King of the Ring events.
King of the Rings,
yeah. So and Ken Lusta was essentially more like I didn't get to work with him a ton. Like he worked with me when I was in town, obviously, because he was in Edmonton. But he was a lot of like, he would call me and really like build me up, like mentally kind of stuff. He'd be like, hey, tell yourself you're the best every day. Like every morning you wake up, like stuff like that, which was very helpful for me as well. But
his pedigree too is he worked with Tyson.
He fought. He was huge in the game. One of Canada's biggest, most well-known boxers. He sparred with Mike Tyson, I think, close to 50 rounds, and I'm pretty sure they're all on YouTube. Yeah. So you can find.
So he's bringing a lot to the table. So you had a very good base prior to coming here, and a good idea of the sport. So now you're here, and we kind of go to you get the call for Barstool on the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the Barstool thing kind of like just happened. Like it wasn't, we didn't really search it out or whatever. It kind of just came to us and kind of like landed on AJ's lap, and AJ was kind of on it. Like it was an opportunity for him, and then he's like, well, hey, wait, why I got my heavyweight king here, King of the Ring, or my champ here, why don't we just get him in it? And it worked out. He got me in the first one, and I kind of made a splash, and then it's been fun ever since. I think like I've learned a lot going into boxing. It's like going into a ring and a boxing fight, and especially rough and rowdy because there's lots of people there, and it is like it's more of a fight than a boxing match. You know what I mean? There's so much emotion. These guys are swinging.
Yeah, everything
it's just a lot of energy around and stuff like that. And I think I've learned a lot going in. Well, the last one, especially when I lost, just because like I just went in there just like gung ho and just like wasn't calm. Like you see me, we were working the whole camp and sparring and stuff, and I was like moving way better. And then I get in there and I just hands down, I just was like, a little bit, I think it was a mental thing for me, which was a great lesson for me, because thinking back now of like when I was successful And when I did well in my fights, it was like, you know, Ice Wars was a big one because I was able to just kind of stay calm and dial in.
But you're also in that King of the Ring Ice Wars. You're in your own,
in my own house.
Yeah, you're in your comfort zone.
I'm on ice. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
You fight, and we've talked about this. You know, that transition for you from that first rough and rap. You know, look, at the end of the day, you can punch.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, we don't want you taking punches, but you can take punches.
Yeah.
You know, you're not backing down in that ring. You're coming at 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, you hit something before as part of your training, which I think is an important aspect. We're just going to kind of get off for a second about the mental and the meditation. Now, you're very big on, you know, so first of all, I've worked with Daniel now for a while. He is not only a friend, but, you know, from a coach's standpoint, Daniel is a motivator. You know, he is somebody, if you can't get motivated by him talking, then you shouldn't be playing a sport. I've heard him give speeches in the locker room. I've watched him at practice. I watch him in the gym when he talks to other fighters. Himself, he is a thinker. He is prepared for what he's going to do, whether it's hockey, boxing, King of the Ring, whatever it is, he's going to be prepared. And, you know, one thing, everybody thinks fighters, they're not big thinkers or anything else, but his mental game and his mental preparation has helped me as a coach because he brings a lot to the table there. Why don't we talk about that, how important that is for athletes today? Because, you know, you've been around and, you know, especially now with the hat tricks, there are a lot of young guys there that, you know, can learn from your experience. I think that mental part is overlooked, especially by, you know, I'm a little older, old school coaches today where I think, you know, guys out of your generation now, it's a big part of preparing for any sport.
Yeah, I think like for me, it was big. Like that was where I learned it, you know, like it was just something that like I've always been like that. Like if I'm in it mentally, I do amazing. If I'm not in it mentally, I can lay an egg, you know, like big time, even like in my game of hockey, right? Like when I'm playing, not fighting. And it's like, so for me, the mental prep's a big thing. And like I started to realize it wasn't something I knew in my first kick at the can in my pro hockey career. You know, my early 20s, right. I wasn't self-aware that was my issue. That was the biggest. If I would have been able to find a way to dial it in back then, I would have been much more consistent, you know, and I didn't realize that till years later when I started to, you know, mature a little bit out of it.
And you're also meeting different people.
Yeah.
And the world's changing at the point from us as athletes when we first start.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have coaches. Coaches are like, their job is to physically get you ready and ability-wise. They're not dwelling on your mental.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, we live in the age of information now. Like, there's a computer, right. And it's endless information for anybody. You don't need to go to Harvard anymore to get educated. Like, you can literally just look things up. And yeah, like, the mental thing was huge. I was at a point in my life where I was really I was trying to survive, like, trying to find any way that I could, like, just get through what I was going through, and I couldn't figure it out. And then finally I did get into the kind of, like, mental, like, power of the mind, everything's a gift, nothing bad can happen to you kind of mindset. And ever since I found that, I was able to just, I basically got to a point in my life where I got to a point where if I didn't have that mechanism or I didn't learn that mechanism, I wouldn't have survived. I wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have been here. So it was like, it was kind of a forced thing. Like from all the negative that had happened, it just forced this thing to happen, which is a huge positive for me, and it changed my life for the better. And I mean, now I can pass that on to, you know, my children and stuff, which is, you know, going to be huge, I think, for them and for me as well. But yeah, power of the mind and just kind of letting negatives be positives, essentially.
Yeah, I think honestly today it's like, you know, you see more athletes have, you know, different types of coaches, not only on whatever sport they're playing, on the physical end, on the training end, on the technique end, but also have, you know, psychologists or sports psychologists working with them. You know, especially we see in boxing, you know, some guys are, you know, they're great fighters, but they're not sure of themselves.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's questioning, you know, should I be here in any sport? Can I perform? And I think, you know, us as coaches, we test you. We test you and put you in situations and say, to be successful, to see how you're going to react, how you're going to perform, you know what? And as an athlete, you need to know if you're going to, I deserve to be here. I can play with those guys.
Yeah.
I can perform with them. I'm not intimidated by it. I'm not scared of it. I'm not having anxiety about it. I think it's something that's getting more and more prevalent now, where more athletes are relying on it, using Goggins or different motivational people to help them out. What are some of the things you do in preparation now for, whether it's boxing, it's hockey, what is your preparation outside the physical end?
Outside of the physical end, so I was gonna say ice baths, but that's not really outside. It is kind of outside. It's physical because you're in cold, but I really find it get into a deep meditation when I have my ice baths. But same thing is visualization is huge for me, and writing things down. So just creating that confidence in yourself. So you can literally write down something, I'm the greatest, or I'm the best, or I won. I write it in the present. I write it down as if it's already happened. So I won against so-and-so, or whatever it is you want to write down, you write it down like it's already happened. And I just go Bart Simpson. I call it Bart Simpson. I just go full Bart Simpson, and I'll just fill pages with I'll write one sentence, and I just write the whole page, and then I'll rip that page off, and I'll do another one of another sentence.
They used to make us do that in Catholic school when you fucked up. I will do my homework.
Exactly.
It
works.
All that, it does.
There's a reason that they're
and you talk about the ice bath, obviously. They could watch it on your page when you did the interview with Lodge from Barstool. I mean, you kind of just sitting there like it's nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, compared to most guys, their time in there, and look, there's great benefit for it. I think today as an athlete, we're seeing not only athletes but professional people starting to use it.
Yeah. I mean, as a hockey player, I feel like I've probably done it before it was a cool, trendy thing to do. We had been doing it, and I mean, I had got into it even before, I'd say 5-6 years ago, before you really seen it all over the place. I mean, I had been doing it then, and me and my buddies would always go up to the river in the middle of the winter, and we kind of just be a challenge. It would be fun for us, and we would just see how long we could stay and just breathing and stuff. I've been following Wim Hof for
right.
a long time, before Wim Hof, everybody knows who Wim Hof is now.
Now it's you watch some of his videos and you watch some of his YouTube. He's amazing.
Yeah.
How he can.
He's got a crazy story about how he discovered all that stuff too. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. But yeah, that's kind of honestly stuff like that. Spirituality, breath work, mental stuff. Just gaining confidence, talking to myself. It sounds crazy, but you just say something to yourself 5 times every morning. You're gonna just
I think it's got to be. You got to have that positive attitude. You got to, what, and as an athlete, I was an okay athlete in what I did, and you know what, you got to walk with swagger.
Yeah,
I think honestly, even if you're walking and you're unsure of yourself, you got to have a little swagger in the sense that, hey, confident level that I'm here.
Yeah.
Because once you show a little bit of fear, you're done.
Yeah, it just turns your energy kind of turns inside out, and it's I'm a big energy guy. How I am, and I not only am I talk and I try and energize.
Yeah, we got to
people.
kind of tweak you down sometimes.
Yeah.
Your energy level's too high and in the moment, but starting to know you now, tweaking you down is not you. That's you know what I mean. It's we got to kind of let you run off a little bit because you have your own, your own triggers and your own way of preparing and what does. And that's every athlete. And I think as a coach, you have to know what those triggers are, what makes him tick as far as, okay, this is what he's going to do, let him do it, then have your moments of coaching and putting your words in, as opposed to those old school coaches who just iron fist you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think finding people, you do it all the time as a coach, it's just finding the chemistry, finding nicks and who people are. That's a big part of what you're doing.
Yeah, well, when we're working with people, and you've played for different coaches. You've probably had coaches you loved and coaches that you didn't like, but you know what? At the end of the day, you still got to go out and perform for you also and do that. But let's circle back. So now, you're in Danbury. When you first get here, did you expect the community to, you're definitely a fan favorite here, and you're definitely a senior influencer on this team, people that, look up to you. And I know from a distance, I watch, I see the players, I know some of them with you and have watched you. And, you can see, did you expect Danbury to be like this for you? Or was it, you've been around,
Yeah.
you've played in other cities. Did you expect just to come in here, play a season, and maybe it's a stepping stone to something else for you? Or you're here now almost 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. It's kind of like an adventure, honestly, at this point in my life, being, I'm 33 now, and I came out of retirement at 32. So I stopped playing the game. It was 10 years, I think, I hadn't played. So yeah, it was. I really didn't there's a lot of stuff I forgot about, when I played pro before, and then I kind of restarted and I got here, and I came in hot, as people would say, I guess, and yeah, I never expected the fan base and the community to be the way it was. It's such a cool place to play, and like just the Danbury Ice Arena and like how intimate it is, because it's only like, I think the most you can get in there is like maybe like high twos, like maybe 3,000. I don't even know if they get 3,000 in there, but it's like,
yeah, it might be.
So everybody kind of knows each other, and everybody loves the fights and the toughness, and so it just kind of synced up with the culture out here.
And obviously you're coming in after the Trasher success there, and then you know what? There's been some downtime in Danbury, so you come in on your first season, and you guys catch wildfire.
Yeah,
you guys just. You had a good chemistry, I guess, there, a good bunch of players, and you take off, kind of just go right into the playoffs. Had a little tough time in the playoffs, get to the finals, and you had a little rough time there, and you guys come back and win it all. Tell me about what was being said when you guys were down coming back. What is your mentality? What is the team's mentality? What are you doing to say, hey, guys, we're going to win this shit? Forget about it.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like those little like pregame speeches and those talks and stuff. That's where I bring my value. I feel like that's like a big part of me, because sometimes on the ice, I'm not going to go out there to score 2 goals. Like sometimes for me, if I'm not doing so much as far as like I'm creating energy. That's like my main job, is create energy however I do it. Go out, get a couple big hits. If I score, my team goes nuts. Like that's the most energy ever. But yeah, so sometimes in playoffs and stuff too, I wasn't playing as much, so I was like trying to get talks going and stuff like that. But like,
yeah, I mean, generally you're bringing value with your experience, whether you're on the ice or not.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm always trying to find, like, even those first 2 games I wasn't playing, and just always trying to find ways to motivate and stuff. But like, yeah, man, essentially, like, I would just talk to the guys before the game, and it's just getting everybody in that mindset. Like, we're literally going to war right now. Like, there's no difference. Like, at the end of the day, like 1,000 years ago, this group of men would have swords in our hands, not sticks. And and just kind of reminding everybody like how grateful we should be for doing what we're doing and being able to go to war like this and be able to play a game that we love like this at the age we're at, and just, finding gratitude and love and going and for each other, and just going in there with absolutely leaving nothing on the table. And that's what we did for the final 3 games.
And I mean, I was at the last game, and that was a hell of a game, went overtime, and you guys left nothing. You guys were all dog tired at the end of that game, and that was just, and obviously the fans going nuts in there. Playing for Danbury now, the fighting, is that something you're thinking about going into the game, or are you targeted now because of your reputation?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with like on the ice stuff, I'm just like, I think lacrosse really got me like really confident because of like fighting on foot, like the same style of fighting, but you're on foot in box lacrosse. And I think it just got me so confident to the point on ice where I'm just like so relaxed, because I'm like, oh, we're on skates. Like, you can't put, like, obviously you can still punch hard, but like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I've done way scarier stuff than this. So I tend to get to be pretty relaxed about it. And I mean, at this point, yeah, like I just kind of play. Like, I'm not really looking for it as much as I was. But like last year, I was like intentionally coming in hot. Like, I was like, okay, I'm coming out of retirement. I want everybody to know, like, this is how I play. And look over your shoulder when I'm out.
But in that aspect, also, it's putting out a message to the other team. Mm-hmm. They're not going to intimidate your team. They're not going to intimidate you. They're not going to take advantage of any of your players. You're going to kind of set it straight out there, and you're going to be the law and the judge, the jury, and everybody else out there. So definitely bringing a value out there. But this year, feel more of a target by other teams?
I mean, I've been jumped a couple times. Well, not jumped, but like I've had people asking me this year all year. So I think I've had like 4 real fights, and all 4 of them I got asked to fight, which is surprising. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like a target. I feel like I'm a target by everybody, you know? So but that's what I wanted. Like my whole job, like what I do, and a lot of people don't know about this, especially if they've never played the game of hockey or whatever. Like if I can get everybody else on the other team worried about what I'm doing and where I'm at,
Yep.
my job is done right there. So it's like that if I just take a little bit of energy away from you scoring a goal, my job's done. If I can give my team a little bit of energy and at the same time take a little bit from you guys and distract the other team a little bit, then that's my job. So like for me to run around and have people, everybody's either trying to take my head off or they're looking over their shoulder, worried about where I'm at. If so, when I'm doing that, what I'm doing is like these guys, instead of being 100% focused on scoring, like my guys would be, because my guys are like, I don't got to worry about anything because Ames has got it. Ames will handle it.
Got his back,
if there's any problems, Ames will handle it. They get to live stress free and buzz around. The only thing on their mind is scoring goals. Where the other team's looking over their shoulder, is he coming? Or they're all trying to take my head off, you know? So that's my job.
It's a mental warfare.
Exactly.
There,
and I learned that from I was fortunate enough to have a coach that kind of taught me about that. I didn't always know about that. And I used it throughout my career. And sometimes I've honestly, I kind of, at certain points in my career, I've used it, like I've gotten to the point I was too good at it. And then you start getting in, you know.
Now I go back into hockey into the, early 70s, mid 70s, Philadelphia Flyers, Dave Schultz, Boston Bruins, Derek Sanderson.
Yeah.
Obviously, different type of players, out there, enforcers, if you want to call them. Now, do you feel that you bring that kind of level, but your skill level is different? You're not just out there. You bring more to the game as far as, you can score, you can skate, you can enforce if you have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different time. Like I've always said, I'm really disappointed I wasn't born 20 years earlier, because it would have been a lot easier for me to get to the NHL, But yeah, it's a weird time for me as a player. Like the game's definitely progressed, majorly, even just in the last 10 years. The overall skill, the stick skill, skating, the skating stuff, it's crazy. So
the speed of the game.
Speed of the game.
You're out of the game. Yeah. What's the speed of the game today?
Speed of the game is faster at every level. So it's crazy. Yeah, it's not a lot of time where it's gotten that much faster.
Are we reverting back to seeing maybe not so much bigger guys, but guys that are in better shape who can skate?
Everybody's smaller. That's the biggest thing, because I think to keep up now, everybody's smaller and everybody's younger. Back in the day, the leagues were decent, quite a bit older than they are now. I'm an old guy right now. I'm 33 and I'm an old guy now. It's not even in the NHL, early 20s, you see a lot of guys in their early 20s. It's crazy young. And Bedard, he's he's 18 years old. He just got hurt probably because of this, but he's only I don't know how much he weighs, but he's not very big,
He doesn't have those that guys man body yet.
Those guys just would not have survived this style of hockey back in the day. Gretzky was one guy that, got away with it. He's a super skilled player, but the thing was with him is he had Marty McSorley right beside him at all times. So he had one of the toughest guys in the league on his line. So it was that was the only way you could do it back then, because everybody's bigger, too, everybody's stronger. Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Yeah.
Guys that would have his back.
Yeah, exactly. So it was at the end of the day, the game's changing. It's weird. I feel like I'm dying a slow death. The role is dying a slow death, and I'm here a part of it, because it's just slowly trickling away. And every day the game gets a little bit softer and a little bit different, and it just more skilled and less tough. Every day it's progressing. So it's weird to be I feel like I'm going to end up being one of the last guys that really plays the way I play. And it's just yeah, it's interesting. It's cool. But it's at the same time, obviously I miss the old style, but then the benefits of the new game is you see all these crazy Michigans and all these crazy skilled plays that you'd never see before.
Yeah.
So it's,
all these kids want to be in the mainstream. They want to score goals. They want to be looking good. They want to have speed.
If you did that back in the day, someone would just probably two-hand break your wrist.
You'd probably get
jumped.
kiboshed.
You get jumped for sure.
Somewhere across the board. What are you looking at long term after hockey?
I want to keep fighting. Like, I don't know how long for. Like, I'd love to just take a run at like the boxing. I love boxing. Potentially at some point, I know we've talked about bare knuckle. I don't feel like I'm ready for it yet, but maybe at some point I'd love to do maybe one bare knuckle or something like that, just because I feel like
that's you being
it's
you.
Suitable. Yeah, it's just like for me, that's just like, it's just like more of something for me. It's just something like I just want to feed myself that. Like
Right.
whether I don't think it's something where I want to make a career out of it, obviously. But like if I can get to a point boxing wise where I feel like I could take one of those fights and be okay, like
honestly, that
I'd
kind
love
of
to do
falls
that,
into
yeah.
your wheelhouse. We saw it when we went to Miami, and as well as I do, we saw what was there, and no disrespect to those guys. Those guys put in the work. They're tough guys. There's skill levels. There's levels to different things. We know you would be tough in that.
I think
you would be very tough in a situation where you're.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the thing for me that I like the most about it is you can clinch a little bit, right? You can grab a guy.
Well, that falls into your hockey
and like
thing.
for me, it's like if I could just grab a guy around the head like that, like that's when I'm like zen. Like I know if I have a guy around the neck, if I'm holding him like this and I have him like that, I'm zen. I'm chilling. I know for a fact that's when I'm in my mode where I'm like a killer and I'm relaxed. I'm not feeling worried. Like if my hands are on the other guy, I'm gold. Like even boxing, whatever, I don't really want to give too much away, but like even boxing, like I like that. So, I mean, you can't really grab a guy around the head. But.
No, well, listen, we know you're going to engage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody knows what you're bringing.
Yeah.
They know it. Some of them are not going to be able to stop it. It doesn't matter what's coming at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously you have the skill set. I think there's a lot of upside out there for you in it, but at the end of the day, you have to pick what's right for you and your family.
Yeah,
and make sense. There's I was talking with Ian earlier. Influencer boxing, these leagues are popping up like crazy.
Yeah.
They want people out there that have followings. They want people out there that have personalities and stories. You have all of it. But besides that, do you see yourself coaching one day?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, like I always, I like coaching. I like kids. I like being around kids. So. Yeah, definitely at some point, definitely, so depending how, I know it'll happen at some point. I just don't know where and when, but,
right.
I definitely I like being able, like, how I am as far as like trying to motivate people and stuff like that's if like for me, I know my most value is in like power of the mind, stuff like that, and being able to like find that. And like, I'm not perfect by any means, there's still ebbs and flows in that, and that's normal. That's just life. Right. But when I'm at my best with that stuff, like I feel like that's what I could bring to people the most. If I could just share that.
I think honestly to see you, even to watch you in the gym when you're talking to people and, the way you treat people and especially the kids, you definitely, I think in today's day and age, you're a guy that, like you said, we all ebb and flow and all have our ups and downs, but you're a guy that somebody can really say, hey, yeah, you can get to a kid. You're not just going to be there and be generic vanilla and tell him what he needs to hear. You're going to motivate them. And I know you train some people on a personal level. I've met them, and I can see what you've done there. Do you see yourself being out of hockey?
Yeah,
at some point?
I mean, definitely. Like, I know it's not going to be
I'm not
forever.
talking about from the playing end. I'm talking about...
Like, completely?
Yeah.
Probably not, no. I mean, as long as, especially as, as long as my kids love hockey, I'll love hockey, So it's, for me, it's like, I don't even feel like it's a choice at this point. It's like a generational thing now. It's been passed down. I'm in hockey. I know the game's changing. I've accepted that. My son is obsessed, my son's obsessed with it. My one boy is just, absolutely obsessed with it. So, I mean, if he keeps that, there's no way how could I possibly be out of hockey, as long as he feels the way he feels now. He's young. But yeah, I mean, maybe, who knows, right? Like it depends. I mean, I definitely won't be out of sports completely. I definitely won't be out of the game. I'll have something because I just, how I need it. Like I need something to feed whether it is coaching at some point, if my body can't keep up anymore, it'll have to be coaching, but I'll need something to feed my.
But you know what? Fortunately, knock on wood, you're in good shape. You know, you haven't been banged up like a lot of people, even in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, you've been hit, nose busted, you know, but you're not really walking around banged up with a lot of stuff going on. So your longevity can be there with that. I think down the road for you, yeah, definitely, to be involved, not only with us, because you are a role model with a lot of the kids and in the community. Today you were where? School? One of the local schools?
We were doing a school thing this morning.
Yeah, so you're out there speaking, you know, being motivational that way. Like I said earlier, a fan favorite, a lot of people. You've grown roots, in the community. I mean, you've become, you know, probably the face of the hat tricks as a player.
Thank you.
You know, no offense. I mean, you know, no disrespect to any of the other guys or the players, but, you know, I think hearing, you know, when I go to the games, a lot of people know more about what you're doing, how you're doing on the ice, or following you than a lot of the other guys out there, and not to take away from them. But, you know, I think that's pretty big. And, you know, it's certain people can only be that way. That's you. That you're not, you know, putting a facade on. That's what's inside of you. And, yeah, I mean, you know, we work together. You motivate me to be a better coach and to think and, you know, to get out of my comfort zone. But we're going to kind of wrap it up, and I'm going to ask you a couple of bullet questions here real quick. You know, one person to be in a foxhole with, who would it be?
A foxhole?
You know what a foxhole is?
Yeah,
You
of
told me you
course.
don't know
I know. I was wondering, what's a foxhole?
I love them.
Who would I want to be in a foxhole with? Tim Kennedy.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who Tim Kennedy is.
Tell me a little bit about him.
He's like a military guy, but he's like really he's a
man.
dog. He's a dog. Yeah, he's like a Goggins.
Okay.
He's a Goggins. He
All
runs.
right.
He runs. He does those crazy.
He does
runs.
everything.
Yeah, he's a dog.
He's not
I
giving
have to
up
say
or
Tim
backing
Kennedy.
down. All right.
Yeah, he's actually just started playing hockey too. So
All right, good.
He's he's a dog.
All right, 3 dinner guests. You get 3 of them. Pick them.
Mike Tyson. I think for sure. I'm curious about Mike Tyson because I feel like he's just interesting.
You know, I've met a lot of guys in boxing. I have not met Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I'd like to
him
meet Tyson.
too.
Maybe I don't know. Man, Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Snoop Dogg, Mike Tyson. All right, now I need one more. Maybe
a DEA agent.
Somebody's getting arrested. What's that? No. And then okay, Snoop Dogg, Mike Tyson. Who would go good with Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson?
I don't know. Maybe throw Goggins in there with you. I don't know.
No, I don't think Goggins would be on the same. I don't think he'd be on the same vibe there. I don't know, man. I don't know. Fuck. Can't think of anyone.
All right.
Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson. I'll take 2.
We'll take 2.
I feel like that'd be a good combo, though.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming in, man.
Yeah,
I really
thank you.
appreciate you, man.
Yeah.